Hello, what's going on? And welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a lot different to the usual RTG episodes that we produce because a viewer gave me a fantastic idea, and it was to put together a team that contains some of the best cards that I've used this year specifically from the RTG and go and play it in the weekend league. Now, I still may do that, but to start off with, I want to rank every single promo card that I've used this year on the road to glory in this tier system. So S being the best, D being the worst, and if you're still playing the game, maybe you'll be interested in some of those S tier players. But if you do enjoy, thumbs up. It took me ages to get all of this ready. So like I say, if you do want to support the content, drop that thumbs up and let me know any of the best players that you've used this year. And let's start with an S tier player, Nuno Mendes. When he first came out, this card was a joke. I used him for at least 2-3 months, it felt like. 5-star skills. As soon as I started playing with him, we couldn't part ways. Absolute joke of a player, and I'll speak about another version later on. Caligiuri. Now, one of the reasons why I don't want to put him in the S tier is because of longevity. I think I only really used this man for like 2 months, and he was good. He was a solid player, but I don't want to overhype him. I don't want to be biased and say that he's S tier. I think he's a solid A category card. Do you agree? Let me know. Chiellini, absolute muck. Awful. Waste of money. He felt so unreliable, clunky, specifically this version. We've got another one coming up. Sanchez, he was a surprise one. He reminded me of like a team of the season Diaz sort of card. I didn't mind him. I don't think he's overly that great, but he's definitely not like below average. So a nice B tier for Sanchez. Gareth Bale, just for those broken shots, S tier. You can play him right center mid, striker. Cam, yeah, I mean, right mid, he's fine, but you really want to be playing this guy striker and getting used out of that raw power. We've got Dybala, foot birthday Dybala. Oh man, he was very, very good at the time, but I only used him for like 1 or 2 weekend leagues. So I'm going to say this version specifically, A tier. Then we've got Sancho. You know how much I liked him. Even went back to the card. So with that being said, the double 5-star foot birthday Sancho, even though his shot power was low, just crazy consistency for me. Abraham. Now this is a beautiful player that resembles that Rafael that we later found out that he was great for us. But he's not S tier category. An A, B. If I'm being fair, Abraham is a B. He's not an A tier card. Mkhitaryan, another foot birthday. What an unlock. One of the best SBCs legitimately that I did. Even to this day, if there's an objective that I need to use him in, I will. That is an S tier card, Mkhitaryan, without question. Next one we're going to pop up is Nani. He was very expensive when he came out, and all right, C tier. C tier for Nani. I personally didn't really like him that much. Maybe you guys are different. Yuri Bacice, fun fact, this guy I actually started as a left back to centre back like 3 years ago, just his regular card. He was great. This year, he hasn't really been overly brilliant, but he definitely hasn't been like below average. So I think it's fair to stick him in that B tier. Up next, we have Roberto Firmino, Bobby. I mean, he was all right. He did have some nice dribbling, some nice skills. I think, again, like, I don't want to be too harsh on these cards. Like, this is fair. No bias as well. At the Italians, I will rate properly. I mean, well, Chiellini's in D. So Firmino is fine. Speaking of Chiellini, you already know where this version's going to go. He is an absolute joke on this game. He's the best centre-back. He's legitimately the best centre-back now to use. Not just this version. I'm already spoiling it. Not just this version. Every single version of our S tier. I could not live without him. When we were playing like 4-on-2-on-2 or 4-4-2, overlapping, getting those finesse shots in, wonderful long shots. Just love his dribbling and everything that he offers. Attel, this version specifically, like the foot fantasy, wasn't for me. I actually think Attel this year hasn't been overly that great, like truthfully. Mendy, I don't want to do this in any like specific order. Mendy, this version was, I mean, he had a couple of good games for me, and then he like dropped off. For my opponents, he was a lot better. So for that reason, I mean, I'm rating the players that I've used, but also got to consider like if they are actually good. So I'm gonna put Mendy in the A tier. I think that's fair because of how annoying he was to play against. But if it's me, I think I'll stick it. You know what? I'm gonna stick him right there. Right bang in the middle, A and B. I think that's a happy medium. We'll take that. Gianfranco Zola. I must admit, I did prefer like his other versions like a few years ago. This Prime Icon Moments, if I'm being brutally honest, like he had a good shot here or there, but he's like, honestly, he's about here. They put him C because he's in Icon Moments. He's got a good finish. He is C. I didn't really like him that much this year. Putting up Insigne. This is a card that I stuck into an SBC. I must admit, though, the dribbling, the pace that you get from the card is absolutely ridiculous. So in terms of like reviewing that dribble and what he offers, he's definitely S tier. But for me personally, I don't know what it was, but I just didn't see the output consistently with him. And I'm so much better with other players. So I'm going to stick him. I'm definitely going to stick him in the A tier. And if I was to ever like try him out and use him again, then yeah, I'd use him. Next one is Yashin. Oh my God, get Yashin in there. D. Did you not see what he did the other day? He's just terrible for me. He's another keeper that seems to perform better for my opponents than for myself. He keeps diving underneath the ball. This version specifically, moments, don't like him. Baggio. Ooh, Baggio. C tier. That's fair. No, actually, no, tell a lie. He had some good dribbling and good passing for us. I think that the B tier is fair. With how Baggio performed, you know, yeah, I think that's a good one. Up next, we have Traore. Does anyone remember this Road to the Final card? He was pretty sick, actually. Like, he had a bit of strength about him, good pace. I think I'm not gonna like rate him too high. I'm gonna stick him in the middle. Like, going back to the card now is gonna be absolutely unplayable. But B and C in between there. Chiellini. As much as I try to like this version, he was absolute muck as well. It was only until, like we saw, they released the end of an era version. But this Chiellini was absolute pants. We're putting up another Italian, Emerson. Unfortunately, he didn't get the upgrade. They gave it to Romero instead. So Emerson for me, or BC, it was good, but I just didn't really go back to him as often as I thought. So I think I'm going to put him right there. Like, his head can pop up into the A tier. Like, he was all right, but he wasn't like insane levels. This version of Di Natale, okay, so this is the foot captains. We have obviously 3 versions now. I haven't tried the shapeshifter, but I've tried this one and obviously the regular foot hero. So I think I'd put Di Natale, this one specifically, in the A tier. And the reason why I don't put him in the S tier is because one weekend he was insane. The following weekend, I don't know what was wrong with the card. Maybe it was one of those patches that EA dropped, but he just didn't live up to that form. So I'm going to put him creeping into the S tier. Like, Di Natale, absolutely love on the game, but that version specifically, I put him as an A. Nesta. Nesta's one of these players with an insane body type. Like, as soon as you're near him, he's going to grab hold of you. So I think Nesta, if you can see past the pace, or if you used him when he first came out, I think it would have been a lot better. But because of like the lack of speed and sometimes like the agility might screw you over, I'm gonna put Nesta. I'm gonna put Nesta right there. I'm putting Nesta right bang in the middle, B, C sort of position. I think that's fair. Koulibaly's broken back animation absolutely puts me off. So for that reason, he's good. He's a good defender, but when I use him, he just, I don't know what it is with this card, but he does put me off. So for that reason, he's in BC, but he is a solid defender, I must say. Tavernier, I mean, he's not like terrible. So I think it's fair that we continue with this approach. You know, we don't want to underrate some players. So Tavernier, I think that C category just didn't really do that much for me. Had a bit of pace. I just much prefer some other options that are going to be coming up very, very soon. Lopez is actually OP. If you've ever used this rule breaker card, his reflex saves are mad. So for that reason, I'm not going to rate him too high. I'm going to put him right bang as a B. Like, some games, obviously, he's going to underperform in, but he will have those moments to clutch up. So I think B is more than satisfactory for him. Griezmann, I should never have put this man into an SBC. I must say that his finesse shots were wonderful at the time when he came out, and just a really important, like, objective player that's going to get goals when you're building your La Liga sides. So I'm actually going to put him I'm actually going to put him in A tier, because he had mad dribbling, he had a good bit of acceleration, and his finishing was pretty consistent. I just didn't really use him enough, and then stuck him into an SBC. So Yeah, I think maybe around about here. Like if you're looking at the high, maybe there, you know, just about creeping into B, but he's an A tier player. Balotelli, he's got some banging shots. The 99 shot power, his dribbling obviously is a bit limited. So for that reason, just because his finishing is like insane, you know, his mohawk can creep into the A tier as well. So Balotelli, awesome. We have Johan Cruyff. Johan Cruyff. Another S-tier player. Every single year, Johan does not fail, but it always seems to be either the moments or the middle version being the best version for me. I think it's probably because of like his body type and stuff, but this version specifically is 100% S-tier. Probably could still use him to this day. So yeah, that just speaks volumes of how good he really is. Jesus Navas was really OP at the start of the game when we had his regular version. Then we tried his inform and stuff. This one here at the time was alright, but he started dropping off. You know, I did prefer like stronger, more aggressive fullbacks. So for that reason, I'm just gonna put his legs in C. You know, he wasn't completely unplayable, but this was sort of the start of his drop off, in my opinion. Team of the season, Nuno Mendes or Nun Menesh. You know, we've had his foot birthday up here, and when I came around to trying out the team of the season version, he did not live up to expectation. He was actually bang average for me, and I preferred other players like Cancelo and stuff. So for that reason, I'm actually going to put him average tier. I know it's going to be controversial, and maybe some of you guys love him, but the foot birthday at the time was just so much better and had more of an impact in my team. I know it's crazy because this one's higher rated, but it's just the way the things go. Lucas Moura. Damn, man. Lucas Moura, I've got a soft spot for. I think because he doesn't have the 5-star skills and he does restrict you a little bit, his finishing, though, was a joke. And he was so fast and he was literally carrying my team at one point. So I think I'm going to put his... I'm going to put his head into the S tier, but he's definitely a solid A player. But he does have moments that is on par with these S tier cards. Georgie boy. Now... because of this version, for me at the time being the best, then we later on tried his moments and he just wasn't really as good. Everyone did this 90 rated best, and I even, in fact, bought him off the market. So I think a solid A. We didn't use him for that long. He was scoring some insane goals, but a solid... In fact, I got to treat him the same vibe as Lucas Moura, must say. Some games he is literally S tier, and then that drop off was sooner than I expected. Melito... Yeah, the boat. Melito the boat. I couldn't really turn him that well. I bought him at the start of the game, 100,000 coins, and he was absolute muck as well. This Sal, a lot of people really enjoyed. I must say, I did think he was fine. He was fine. But for me personally, I'm going to put him just slightly below average. I was expecting a lot more from his card. Everyone was hyping him up, and for me, he didn't really live up to that expectation. What did I say? If you're paying attention, legitimately every single card that I've used on the game, even his regular ones that you try in objectives, is an S tier. He was so... This card specifically, I got in 700 games. 750, 800 games? Maybe around about there. 750. Up next, we have Raheem Sterling, and this was a surprise boosted version. Like, his weak foot changed, but just the dribbling, the consistent finishing. I really like Sterling. I'm going to put him around there. And the reason why is because I didn't like fully bring him into a FUT Champs build. So he didn't give me like that sort of like belief that I'd be able to do like really well with him. Not that I can remember. Did we ever have him in FUT Champs? Don't think we did. But I'm definitely going to put him right in between like B and A. Depending on how I'm performing on the day. I think that's fair for Sterling. Tonali team of the season, just for that sheer speed up and down the field. I think Tonali, oh, he's there, man. Just because of his... Was he really that good? There you go. I think that's fair. Go on then. Tonali, his head's popping up. I think that's a good one. Rudiger, where do you think this man's going? Another card that I played 700 plus games with, or maybe like 650. Rudiger, rule breaker. Absolute game breaker. His card was a joke. So he's in. Gattuso, I gotta be fair. No bias being shown in the D tier. We've got Cancelo. 100% Cancelo has to be S tier. I've got so many more to do. We're going to have to start speeding up the process. So Cancelo, 100% S tier. Wonderful, wonderful card. Casillas literally ruined me. D tier. Did not save a single thing. One of the worst debuts for a goalkeeper I've ever had on this game. Socrates, close to my heart. Absolute legend from FIFA 20, was it? Or 21. Such a good player in a cam position. This year, in fact, I'm going to put him, just because of like his style, nearly below average. Just because he's harder to use, but his finishing is a joke. So for that reason, he is pretty much bang average. Milinkovic-Savic, I never use him in the weekend league, but he did give you that nice like left stick dribbling approach and stuff. I feel like he's the same. Like he's a good card, but I don't think many people would really want to like go towards him. Cafu was a surprise fail of a player. I much preferred like Carlos Alberto and those types of cards. So for me, you know, he's genuinely, he was nearly creeping into the D zone, Like I just did not enjoy him whatsoever. I tried to give him a chance in multiple games. He is below average for me on the game. Cafu, we wouldn't want to use him ever again. And he was like the most hyped up card as well. Tyranny, you know what? Yeah, Tierney's in the middle. He's good. He's not overly like that great, but B is definitely a nice rating for him. Fellaini, remember this triad when he came out? Everyone used him. I mean, I would rate him like higher. I would rate him higher because of like his style in the game, and there was no one really that could match and get onto that level of speed, height, and a bit of finishing. And that heading was a joke. But longevity-wise, I think I only used him for like a few weeks, and then something happened, and I think the patch dropped. So yeah, I believe he's like around here. He's definitely was A tier though. He was unbelievable. Garrincha, truthfully, whenever I've brought Garrincha to my main squad and it's like outside of the draft, he never performs that well for me. I'm not gonna say he's like really bad, like this version specifically, the Prime, but I think C tier is fair. Is not rating him too low. I think C tier for how he performed for me is a fine one. Marco Reus. Now, that's one of the reasons why I took my time in reviewing this card, because I didn't want to rush the review. But I think that Marco Reus is, I think he's got potential of being an S tier player, but it just depends how you're using him on the day. But solid day. Like his passing game is really good. He's nice. Well, actually, A tier. A tier is like, yeah, no, A tier is fair. A tier is fair. Zakaria, remember when he came out, this rule breaker? I liked his other versions as well. But for me, I think Zakaria is definitely in between A and B. Do you agree? Like, he was a unit, man, when I had him as that CDM in the 4-1-2-1-2. Florian Wirtz, I mean, he just didn't really do that much. C tier. Good bit of passing. In fact, I did notice some really nice animations on those passes, but yeah, I think that's fair. C tier. We've got David Alaba. And it wasn't until I revisited the card and figured that as a middle centre-back in the 3-5-2, he was excellent. Really good tackling. But we didn't really use him for that long. So for that reason, we're going to put him around just a little bit more into A. Solid cards. But, you know, maybe a couple of off days here or there, he might drop into being average. Patrick Vieira is going up. He's S tier. There's no one really like him or that consistent all the way through a game. Like last year, the year before, any single FIFA, Patrick Vieira is the man. Top tier. Abedi Pele. Now, we've only recently picked him up. This is the shapeshifter hero. I think Abedi Pele is, oh man, I think he's like in between here. I can understand why some people might not like the card because his dribbling is unique, but it all depends on the day. And I feel like Abedi Pele could be an S tier player, but I think right in between, sit on the fence, is the fair review for Abedi Pele. Fakir, banging short, twists and turns, but does restrict you a little bit too much. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in between B and C. B being average, as you know, and C a little bit dropping off. Isco, I think I was harsh on this man. I actually ended up sticking him into an SBC, and it was wrong for me to do that. Because I tried to like force him as a left attacking mid in a 4-2-2, and he's not really a wide cam. He was better like as a central player. I'm going to give him right bang in the middle on B. I think he was good. He was average for me. He had a nice bit of passing, dribbling, but yeah, stuck him into an SBC I think far too soon. Lucas Paqueta. Playmaking, unbelievable. Bit of speed as well. Only used him for like 1 weekend league, but I must say that he is creeping. He's creeping. Nah, A's fair. I don't think that he is like elite level of the midfielders, because if he was, then I'd still be using him to this day. But he's a solid player. Really nice. R9. Should we stick him? Should we stick him in here? I think from what people believe and the way I go on about R9 and criticizing him, they think I'm going to stick him in the D category. He is up here. He's going off the screen. Absolute S tier. I was absolutely blessed this year to pack him. What a player. He has not had like a weekend league where I feel like EA have affected his card to the point where I believe it's a patch. He's just so consistent all the time. Like, mad card. Apart from a couple of, like, misses here or there, he's still insane. And he came out pretty much at the start of the game. So that is money well spent. But we packed him. We got super lucky. Philip Lahm, blast from the past. Good old Philip Lahm. Over 900 games with this version. And he was just so nice for me as a left mid. So, left back. So for that reason, I'm definitely going to be putting him into, creeping into halfway between S tier, because I wouldn't be able to use him right now, but S tier, A tier, Philip Lahm, one of the best left backs I had used at the time. There's just something about him that really suited my play. Robbie Keane, this is the FUT Captains version, so we'd be revisiting the card because we did originally have his hero that will be on this tier list. But this version specifically didn't really live up to that expectation that we had once set for him, so he was creeping into but below average. Donnarumma, damn man, this guy changed so much for me. He was one of the best goalkeepers, one of the worst, then he felt good again. I think that Donnarumma, because of that reason, being a yo-yo, he has to be put bang average. He has to. Like, do you still use Donnarumma to this day, yes or no? Probably not, but yeah, Donnarumma, I think he was better at the start, just his regular version that we got a lot more use out of. Politano, I'd say Politano's around about there. He was dropping below average. He had a good bit of dribbling, but he didn't really do anything that was like super standout. I feel like maybe I'm being harsh on Politano, but it is what it is. Davies, Alphonso Davies, team of the season. For me personally, Davies, like, he gets the job in, but I don't know, man. I think it's his work rate. So there's something about his card that I wasn't like that set on. I think he's creeping below average for me. I'm harsh though. I'm harsh, but I gotta be. There are far better players than him in that left back position. Di Natale, hero version, the regular hero version of Di Natale, without a shadow of a doubt, S tier. At the time as well when he came out, joke of a card. Unbelievable. Rodrigo, he can join him up there. S tier Rodrigo. Now, he's only been one of those recent promo cards that got dropped, the showdown, but my goodness me. You don't need anyone else on the wing than him. Like, I've been trying out so many new cards, and I always find myself going back to him. He's a joke of a card. Fofana, player of the month? Well, he was S tier. We couldn't drop him. And I was thinking, like, is his headliner really going to be that much better than the player of the month? We got so much use out of Fofana. Crazy player. If you remember him, then you've been playing the game far too long. Silas, Shapeshifter Silas, that only came out recently, and we actually played a good weekend with the card, scoring pretty much a goal a game. But I don't believe he's S tier. A tier, I think that these are like some of the best cards on the game. So, you know, I'm gonna give him some respect. Like, he was decent, but there was something about his dribbling that held him back. So I don't want to hype him up too much. So good, solid level right in between there. Ruben Diaz, team of the season. A lot of people swear by the team of the year being better. Now, the team of the year at the time, I didn't really like when he came out originally, but the team of the season, I started to like fall in love with, and I like that approach. So I think he was a solid A for me, Ruben Diaz. It was a solid A. In a 3-5-2 setup that we were running, his tackling was just fantastic for me. Really was good. Kunde Freeze version, where are we going to be putting him? Kunde Freeze. Man, he was I think he was better than the Fire version because he had more like aggression and stuff. But I'm gonna put him. I'm just gonna put him around here. So somewhere around there. B tier. Robertson. a new card that's come out. I tried him as like a left center back in a 3, and then I tried him as a left back as well. Robertson, below average. He wasn't that great, or maybe there. That'd be fine. Kalulu, he had a good week in league for us, but was he really that good? Could I feel like I'd be able to live without him? Yes, and for that reason, we're gonna put him right bang average. Ben Rama, absolute mark. Let's be honest. Let's clear out quite a few of these players. Felix, I would suggest that he's around the C tier for me. Just didn't really use him as much as expected. I'm pretty sure we did his play of the month. I'm pretty sure, and then we stuck him into an SBC. Suarez, this was more of a surprise one for me. Like the FUT Birthday Suarez, the left stick dribbling, a bit of speed as well. But I think that going off of like what I'd really want in my team, I think he's in between like being average and below average. Like he's just very, very hard to use. David, this version specifically, had a good bit of finishing, but also creeping into that below average, like a little bit unplayable. Verissimo, yeah, he was okay. I mean, again, didn't make our FUT Champs build, so that says everything. Joe Cole stinks. Absolute rubbish. That version of Joe Cole was terrible for me. Guerrero is a player that we are actively using right now. I was close to putting him into an SBC, but in a defensive position, he was a bit weird. As a right mid in the 4-4-2, this man, without a doubt, is an A tier. No question. Dimitri Payet, he's got a good shot. But he doesn't really do anything else. So I don't want to make him completely unplayable. But I think C tier below average is, I think it's fair. Corrado is around there. Like he has moments where he can legitimately change a game and be an S tier player, but solid A for Corrado with those skills and just that kind of approach. Unbelievable. Thomas Muller, his finish is banging. He's very, very quick on the acceleration as well. So for that reason, I'm going to creep him into slightly being unplayable, which is the C tier, but B tier. Well, not completely unplayable. That's unfair because Zola's obviously playable, but he didn't really leave that mark. So no, I think that's good. Maybe put Zola a little bit higher. Hang on a minute. Zola's a little bit higher. That's fair. He is playable. Let's not underrate Zola. Cannavaro, absolutely S tier. Can you see him? Absolutely S tier. 800 games with that version. And then I tried his moments card and he wasn't as good at the time. But it all depends on when you've used these players. Felipe Anderson, he went into an SBC. Everyone was loving him. They were playing him as a cam. I tried him as a right mid cam striker. I just couldn't really get that output from him. So with that being said, I've got to put him below average. I really do. There's something about him that just didn't work for me, so I have to respect that and move on. And Nkunku, without question, is absolutely up here, boys. S tier card. You can use him in multiple positions, and he's just so overpowered and broken. This Trent Alexander-Arnold, he was showing potential to be good, but I still feel like with this rule breaker version, there was something a little bit missing with his card. Maybe the lack of speed to clutch up. So for that reason, he is definitely a solid B tier player, that version specifically. But then his team of the season was, I mean, I've got to be fair. I've got to put him, you can't even see him right there. No, I've got to put him in the A tier. Team of the season, Trent Alexander-Arnold was very, very good for me. And I don't usually go for those really strong type of fullbacks that aren't great on the ball. But he was fine with it. And his playmaking game was something that really did take my performance to another level. This Mukiele was absolutely muck. Just didn't do anything for me. It was rubbish. Tried him right back, centre back, and he was absolutely god awful. Yelson Martins, you climb that ladder. You're gonna go right there, Yelson. You're gonna go right there. And the reason why he takes, oh no. You're gonna leave room for somebody else, Yelson. But he goes right bang there. He literally is S tier. Yelson Martins, one of the best, if not the best cards that I've used this year on the RTG. Dribbling, the expertise, he's so good. Gravenberg, the team of the season version, was solid for me, but I stuck him into an SBC just because the game was pretty much dying. You can't see him, can you? So I'm going to have to put him there. Gravenberg, some games he's S tier, but solid A. Like really, really was solid for me. Fair enough. Cancelo, without question. This is basically the same version as the team of the season, but there hasn't been a bad version of Cancelo, apart from like the other ones. But 2, team of the season, team of the year, outstanding. Canales was a surprise card. I think that he does play well enough. Like I had him on a different account and he got me nearly 6. No, I think we did get 16 wins with Canales playing as like an attacking CDM. So with that being said, he definitely creeps into that A tier category. A lot of better players on the game, but you got to respect it. Lodi was all right. I think C. I think C is fair for Lodi. He was okay. Like if I'm rating Sal and Lodi, yeah, I mean maybe creep him up a little bit more. He was okay, but obviously I didn't really use him that much. Lacroix, game breaking. I think he's another one that has that potential to be top S tier player, but Lacroix, at the time, I mean, he was insane though. There wasn't really too many players that had that kind of speed, so I think we should move him up a little bit more. Same with Gravenberg. But he didn't stay in my team for that long. Verratti, absolutely loved, but he does have his flaws. Obviously, that height difference compared to some of the other options. So for that reason, Verratti just depends on how you want to treat the game. Like if you're just casually playing, then Verratti is like S tier, super fun. But I think I would actually put him again. Lacroix, Gravenberg, Verratti, all similar. Like they have their good games, but it just depends on like the best setup. Marquinhos, being brutally honest, I didn't really like Marquinhos like that much. Like he was good, but I think that creeping into the A tier for Marquinhos, I think that's fair. Just because of that speed and what he can offer, I think that's fine. Carlos Alberto is in S tier without a doubt. Carlos Alberto. This card was so important for me playing as a makeshift centre back in the right back position. Just I got a lot of use out of this player. And comparing him to Cafu, he was so much better this year. No question. Ruben Diaz, we're going to put him in this Team of the Year version. I'm going to put him in A tier because obviously I really did enjoy the Team of the Season one. He's also in A tier. But at the time, like when he first came out, I was rating him like down there. I couldn't appreciate like what he was offering. Like he was a bit more of a heavier type of defender, and it was one of the first players that I really experienced and tried. So realizing how good he was, A tier, definitely A tier, maybe even pushing S tier. Morientes, I've been not hyping him up, but I've been telling you, like, if you give this guy a chance, he does feel like pretty floaty on the ball. So we've got to stick him into that like B tier category. You got to give him a chance. Like he's all right. This version of Attel, down here wasn't really overly that great for me. Valverde was just way too expensive. Like being 600,000 with the way he played though, I think it is fair to put him between A and B. I can live without him. This is what I got to ask myself. Do I desperately need these players? Yes or no? Like these cards here, pretty much like yes. Like Bale, because I don't like use him that much, like he's there. But you just got to respect like his finishing is absolutely broken. Alisson for me was pretty much bang average, if I got to be honest. Like he's much better for my opponents, and it seems to be the trend with these goalkeepers. They perform much better. For the people that I come up against. Indica, we use him for quite a bit, and then we obviously later on tried his team of the season. Solid A player with his speed and how he clutches up and defends. I really did enjoy him. Benzema, unfortunately, I stuck him into an SBC later on, and he was one of those cards that I should have saved. Because of what he offered in the objectives and just scoring, he was an A tier. Like when he first came out, can you not remember how quick he felt and like the surprise? Like, damn, is this really a Benzema? So yeah, solid A for him. Samuel Eto'o, I think because of at the time and how good he really was. I mean, he didn't have the skills though, but because of the setup, and I was basically playmaking with my left striker and just feeding Samuel Eto'o and using outside of the foot. If you're going off of like consistency in this finishing, I think the S tier is definitely like something where he belongs in. He does. Like I wouldn't want to use him now, but just going off of like his past experience. Bernardo Silva, I've got to put him in between Got to put him in between. Unfortunately, he didn't really live up to that like moments Bernardo, big game Bernardo that we had a few years back. So A and B in between there. Chris Woods. I mean, he's solid. He's solid. He's definitely an A tier player. Come on, man. He's got the pace. He can defend well. Definitely A tier. Now, if I didn't have all these other options in my club on the RTG, then I'd probably use him a little bit more. Barella. Wow. Like pretty much every single version of Barella has been that good. So right bang up there. S tier. Davids. Yeah, he had a good shot. I'll give him that. And he had a bit of twists and turns about him. But B and C, I think so. Kulusevski. S tier. Do you not remember? Oh, S tier. No, I think that's fair. Because of how important he was as a right mid, I just could not believe the way he was dribbling and his finishing outside the box. He was basically like Gareth Bale, but an earlier version. Like, no joke. He's like that kind of finishing and the way he was carrying the ball. This was Kulusevski. Bale version 2. Danny Da Costa, well, he jumps up there. Like, he was legitimately the best right back or best makeshift right centre back. That's where I prefer him. Right centre back in the 3. Jamie Vardy, there. I mean, that's fine. Like, he's not unplayable, but he just didn't really do that much. Like, he had a couple of shots here or there, but not great. Same with Adama Traore, I must admit. He isn't overly that great. He's got a good shot, bit of pace, but I just don't really feel like I like him that much. Eder Militao. Have we got room for Eder in that S tier category? Literally the best or one of the best centre backs. But my favourite combo is Chiellini and Eder. So they're both up there in the S tier where they belong. Jorginho was a disappointment. He wasn't as good as I really expected him to be, considering like Team of the Year version. So I was waiting for this card to be brought out for so long, and I'm gonna put him like about there. I think that's fair because I tried him in the draft as well a little bit later on, and he was doing a few good things, scoring some goals, but he was average, and then maybe on the odd occasion can be that A tier. Pereira, one of the they're all being hit right now. Can you see him? All right, Pereira, you can see him. He's up there. So good. Makeshift centre mid. Don't play him as a left back. Well, you can. Like, he still plays really well there. But CDM centre mid, this card is a joke. One of the best players that you'll use to this date. Well, he's only just come out. Trapp's a solid player, you know. I'm going to put him in the C tier. Sorry, not C tier, B tier. Really, really good. He reminds me of like a ter Stegen type player, like back in the day. Just very reliable when he wants to be. And yeah, if he's not getting screwed over by the delay or whatever. So yeah, Trap is in the B tier. Nkunku, oh damn, Nkunku, this version at the time was solid A. I don't think he was like S tier, like the creme de la creme, but he was really, really good. Tried him in so many positions, and the price of that one was just really affordable, like 100,000 coins, and you got a little bit of everything. Mirza Ozil, he was, do you not remember him? He was solid for us with his skills and how he was playing. So I'm going to creep him into that. No, do you know what? Mirza Ozil, he was an A tier player. He was legitimately A tier. Do you agree? Some of the goals I was able to score with him were absolutely fantastic. El Shaarawy, solid A as well. Solid A. There's something about him, though, that does feel maybe at times a bit weak. But his finishing and that weekend league that we had recently, he was just scoring goal after goal. When he was inside the box, super consistent. Maybe actually he should be like a little bit higher up the list. Courtois, my favorite goalkeeper on the game with Van der Sar. Edwin and Courtois, they're the ones for me. Just there's something about this Courtois that is seriously broken and been very consistent for me. Raspadori, when he first came out, oh, bless him. He was all right. I think I'd put him in... To be fair, he was okay, but he was a little bit below average. So I got to consider, like, would I ever use him back in my Foot Champs build? Probably not. Kudus, remember when we had him as a left mid in the 3-5-2 a couple of years ago and he was OP? Well, he's terrible now. He was rubbish. Absolute mark. Teze. Ooh, Teze was fine. Tizzy was fine for me, but I think he was starting to creep into like, nah. He was average. He was average. Had good games, bad games. It balanced itself out. So right bang in the middle is fair. Verde and his finishing, he was another card that stuck into an SBC, and I shouldn't have done that. But his long shots were absolutely broken. But C tier. C tier. Don't want to rate him too high. C tier. Sorry, B tier. I keep saying C tier. I probably shouldn't have covered those up because I can't see what I'm doing now. Spinazzola. Where's room? Make room. Make room for Spinazzola. Legitimately the best makeshift fullback. Well, he was originally a fullback, but he came out as a CDM. You play him in a fullback position, run up and down the field. So good at reading the play. And his aggression is mad. We haven't got too many. We haven't got too many more to do. Rafael, well, he is... Oh, the thing with Rafael is sometimes his dribbling does restrict him, but I was pretty good with the card. And for that reason, he's up there, boys. Rafael is an S tier player. His finishing was really broken outside the box, and that speed on the last man with his aggression really did enjoy him. And if he was bad, he wouldn't have stuck around for 2 weekend leagues. S tier player Rafael, go and test him. Indica team of the season is creeping into that S tier, but sometimes he feels like a little bit cheap here or there. But again, he is just shy of being that elite player. There are just better centre backs that I would obviously go for. Tomiyasu, he was all right. He's actually solid. Whenever I've had to use him in the draft as well, I think I'm going to put him in between like being an A tier and B. Cordoba, as a centre back, he's really nice. As a right back, where he's been brought out to play in, I think there. Solid card as a centre back, as a right back. He has his flaws. Sangare, when he came out. Sangare, I think I preferred his other card, like one of his informs. So with that being said, I'm going to stick him there. A little bit below average for me. Do you agree? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Florenzi, we're going to have to stick Florenzi. Christ, I got so many of them. Florenzi, I'm going to have to put in the middle. Like, he wasn't overly that great at the time. Just worked well because of the setup that I played him in. Des was actually insane. I've got to give him that. This was one of these players that just offered unbelievable pace, was really aggressive, and yeah, his dribbling was amazing. Like, he didn't really put a foot wrong. I don't know why I ever stuck him into an SBC, and he was getting used for quite a while, so definitely creeping into that S tier. Yeah, for sure. Robbie Keane. Now, we did have his other version being dropped in this sort of area. Oh, no, there he is. There he is, because when we revisited the card, he wasn't as good. But with the way this Robbie Keane played, he is right in between being like that elite level card with his finishing. He reminds me similar to like Samuel Eto'o. If we're playing well, we can get so much use out of him. And then that left stick dribbling, I always kept going back to Robbie Keane. So, you know what? If I'm fair, I'm going to put him more into that S tier. You know, it was all about the time when we played with him. Wilfried Zaha, yeah, I think he deserves to creep into a higher tier. I mean, the dribbling alone just is so easy to bring in other players. So for that reason, just going off like playmaking, definitely would rate him quite high. Zambrotta, where would you go and stick Zambrotta? I think I would put Zambrotta as... Oh, man, just didn't really get use out of him this year. Just wasn't as good. It was terrible. I must admit, he was in the D tier category. This version of Bellingham was nice. I'm going to definitely give him a solid A, but it wasn't until I tried the team of the season version. And then that's where we'd increase. Mario Gomez, put some respect on this man's name. If you try him as a centre-back, he's all right. You can go and chip in with some goals. But I think that he's going to creep into a better tier. But just average. Does show signs of being a good player. Kunde, the team of the nominee version, oof, I'd say maybe put him around about there. Wasn't like overly that great. That's fair for him. Fred, this was one of like the first times we tried like this approach where he's got that tackling and aggression, but really, really nice on the ball. And for some reason, he kept chipping in with so many goals. So A tier for Fred, for real. This version of Yeltsin Martins, down there. This version of Yeltsin Martins, like the best Yeltsin, S tier. But this one, middling. I don't know. I just didn't really think he was like that great. Mendy was terrible. He was the worst goalkeeper in the game. He's off the screen, man. He was so down bad. Not even kidding. Do you not remember that he was just flapping at everything? His Team of the Year like nominee version was a lot better. Modric, I tell you what, Modric, if I'm being like honest, Modric, like if you want to just have fun on the game, he's like around about here. But I don't know. I'm gonna stick him there. Stick him there. He just didn't really play that well for me this year. Guendouzi, if anything, was more of an impact in my team versus a Luka Modric. So Guendouzi, for his price as well, he's creeping above. Like as that approach in the midfield, being just being annoying, a nuisance, just tracking around the field. Pedri was wonderful. Pedri, even this future star version of Pedri, just so fun to use. Solid day. I think his height and maybe getting bullied at times stops him from being like S tier. This man, I've been a little bit harsh. He doesn't even have a face. Martinez, the new SBC that came out, the right back with the 5-star skills. I don't know if I like him, man. I'm going to put him there. I'm not sure if he's like really bad. No, I'm going to put him in C. He's not terribly unplayable. I'm going to put him C. All right, we've only got a few more. Thank you if you're still watching this video right now. It's going to be a long one. Zakaria, when he first came out, creeping into that S tier. Oh, you can't even see him on your screen. S tier, Zakaria. Would you agree how important he was in that CDM position? I think so. Musa was all right. I think going off of like how many games I played with the card, it wasn't that much. So with that being said, I think I would creep him into being an elite quality card. But yeah, just didn't really go ahead with it in our weekly build. Skriniar, when I got around to trying this version, yeah, I like Skriniar. I do like Skriniar, but I got to be fair. I wouldn't ever really want to go back to his card. This version of Attel was average for me, and it was a surprise. The shapeshifter Attel, I thought he was going to perform a lot better. Maybe a different position would have been ideal. Dybala, this version of Dybala, oof, oh my god. Team of the season Dybala, absolute S tier. The dribbling, the finishing, the consistency that I got from him, absolute elite player. Was so fun to use. Phil Foden, Team of the Year nominee Foden with that dribbling and powerful shots. He was okay. I think, again, he's another player that would creep a little bit higher, but average. I think I would say average just because I didn't go ahead with using him for that many games. So, yeah, it does show signs of being really fun to use. Di Maria, I mean, Di Maria is still awesome right now, isn't he? But he is one of those cards that has only just come out. I think Di Maria, for me, again, he has moments of being S tier, but consistency levels, I think, just solid, like A. Del Piero, truthfully, Del Piero, sorry, man. Like, they've ruined all of, like, the OP Italians. Like, the Zambrotta that we loved isn't very good anymore. And then Del Piero definitely deserves to be here. Just could not get any use out of him whatsoever. Kulusevski, this version as well. You know, trying to revisit the card after the rule breakers that is in S tier. This one, this nominee version, wasn't very good. Insigne as well. I just didn't like Insigne that much. Just didn't. Absolutely D tier. De Jong, it wasn't really the year of De Jong. He was definitely much better on other versions, but he was still like, when I used that version specifically, he was quality, wasn't he? He was just tracking around the field, getting tackles in. I think that is a fair representation of how he performed. Diatta, I mean, he wasn't completely unplayable, just jetting down the line, but he definitely does not deserve to be any higher than that. No way. Vinicius Jr., can you even see him? Vinicius Jr., S tier. I mean, if you don't put this man anywhere else but S tier, you're doing it wrong. Like, he is basically Neymar, but Vinicius Jr. So definitely deserves to be high. Joe Cole is good. Again, I don't think that I'm going to be rating him like levels, like the best, but he does play really well in game. If you haven't tried him out, go and buy him. He's like 300,000 coins, maybe a little bit cheaper now. Definitely deserves. Oh, you can't see him as well. You can just about see his face. He definitely deserves to be there. Does have some good spells where he could be S tier. Pedri, team of the season. Didn't use him that much, but again, he's another card that creeps up that ladder where he does have his moments. Alan saying Maxima, get him up there. Get him up there, right there. The time when we used him, it was for about 3 weeks. 3 weeks. And when the game was changing and I was struggling, Alan St. Maxima offered everything. Legitimately, like absolutely this type of tier was unbelievable. And I did try and tell you, like, this card's worth it. He is worth the coins. Even with the stocky body type. Unbelievable. Quagliela. Yeah. No, he had a good shot. No, it's fair. Put him in C category. Rudiger, make way for Rudiger. Where is he? Oh man, I can't put him up there. Rudiger, absolutely. Why is he Japanese? What have I done wrong there? Whoops, he's German. He's definitely German. But Rudiger, 100% one of my favorite centre backs on the game. Rudiger, Eder, and Chiellini. Those are like the 3 main cards this year. Virgil van Dijk, I'd have to put as average, just because he's a little bit harder to use. Onyeka, he was okay, but just below average eventually. Edwin van der Sar, S tier. Absolutely S tier. It's either I use Van der Sar or I use Courtois. I don't want any other goalkeeper. They're usually reliable for me, apart from a couple of games, but they're usually reliable. Jesus, this card had, believe it was a 5-star weak foot, was it not? Or a 4-star weak foot. He had a good shot, but didn't really use him in that many games. So I think it's fair to put him in the mid tier there. Terrier, surprisingly, if you just use him as a left mid running up and down the field, he was okay. But I mean, because like he does restrict you a little bit, he's got to be creeping into that below average. Di Lorenzo, get him up to the S tier. Seriously, S. Do you not remember this card? Can you see it? Di Lorenzo with the 5-star skills. I mean, I kept going back to him, and when I did, it was past, like, you know, he was good back in the day, and then I tried to revisit, and it wasn't like as great. But Di Lorenzo, 5-star skills, wonderful foot birthday version. Chiesa, where are we going to put him then? Chiesa, he had a good shot. He didn't feel... Oh, man, he didn't feel like a winger. He's more of a striker for me. But, yeah, I think that's fair. Like, just a little bit better than average. I think so. Koza, 700 games with this version. 85 rated Koza. Deserves to be up in the S tier because of the amount of use and longevity that I had from this card. Just solid. Just solid. He was like a generic player, but just had like such a good tackle on him. Really did rate the card a lot. Diego Carlos, this version was bang average. Manquillo, truthfully, I did get a really good finish in the weekend league with him, but he's around about there. Definitely above average, though. Definitely. Berardi, I mean, his dribbling just held him back, man. Nah, that's unfortunate because his finishing at times he did score. Put him around about there. Not totally down bad, but pretty much down bad. Laporte, really like Laporte. Definitely give him A tier. Yeah, I think with the amount of games that we played with him, how solid he was in the challenge, and he was making me feel like, okay, could be a good opportunity to try out like Diaz and all these players again because of his build and how he performed. So he opened up the doors to a lot of these other players for me. Gravenberg, this version of him, I didn't really like. His team of the season, though, was great, but that version was below average. I don't know what it was. He wasn't locking into the challenge as much for me. Didn't like him. Heung-min Son, because Heung-min Son I never really properly use. Oh, man. I think he goes there. I think he goes there. Like, his finishing is ridiculous. Nah, average. Because that's wrong for me to say. I wouldn't put him in A tier. Wouldn't put him in A tier. Because I don't use him. And I don't want to use him. So he has to go in... all right, his head creeps. Kessier at the time was unbelievable for me. Really, really nice cards using that CDM position. Mike... Oh, man. Mike was OP for a couple of games and then dropped off a little bit. So I think he has potential to be S tier, but just a solid keeper and horrible to play against. Yelson Martins. Hold on. Did I already have Yelson Martins? Well, put him up there again. He's that good. Yelson Martins. No, I definitely did. We already had him. Odegaard. I think he was better last year. And that's one of the reasons why I picked him up, because I thought he was going to replicate that form. I think he was solid, though. But he creeps into that average tier, but does play well. Spinazzola, this version of him, was just a solid A tier card. Wasn't the best of the best, but solid A tier, and I played him as a left back as well as a right back. Brozovic, bro, so bad. So he was terrible. He's terrible. I don't know why they made him just bang average, like so bang average. He was just boring for me. Didn't like him at all. All right, we've only got a few more to go. Damian, the amount of use that we got out of him, he has to go there. Just because of his body type and how he does like restrict you sometimes with what you want to do. But then his dribbling, I don't know. I was just good with him. So he definitely creeps into that S tier. More his head above the water. Yeah, for real. Like, definitely creeps up there. Kimmich is all right. Kimmich's all right. I do like him on the game. He's fun to use. Depends what mood you're in. But there are just so many better options. Marcelo definitely deserves to be quite high. I'm gonna put him halfway in between. Is that fair? Nah, put him a little bit higher. Marcelo playing as a left mid in a 3-5-2, a centre mid in a 4-1-2-1-2. His finishing was pretty good as well, and his dribbling skills. Yeah, that foot captain Marcelo was amazing. Goretzka, his body type just put me off. I must be honest. Zinedine Zidane, he was like the first bigger type of player that was moving unbelievably well. S tier. Zinedine Zidane. Now, for some reason, I prefer Pereira now from the Serie A, that shapeshifter. But Zinedine Zidane, 100% S tier. This French guy, this French CDM, yeah, I'll put him there. Below average. Like, I just don't have that much fun with him. But I think some of you guys would enjoy his card. Ousmane Dembele, definitely S tier. Come on, man. Ousmane Dembele, with how he was finishing some of those shots, let his head creep up there. And the last one that we have, Milito. I mean, he can join this version. Down it. No, he was kind of fast. All right, put him there. But boys, that is my full promo breakdown of the players that I've used on FIFA 22 RTG. Do you agree or do you disagree? If you got to this point anyways, a super long video, but I thought I'd give everyone a sending off. So thank you very much for watching. If you have enjoyed, thumbs up, and I will see you on the next one. Team out. Peace.